we're so busy trying to put out the fires, trying to handle the situations, trying to manage the people, trying to do, all the operations every day. And even if you've elevated and you're the owner, I still meet people who own 5 companies who have CEOs in each company who are still struggling with this stuff.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Middleton Methods podcast. This week, we have a very special treat for you. We have Jairek Robbins here with us today. Would you consider yourself a motivational speaker, a strategic coach, high performance? So many skill sets that you have, and you help people achieve different levels. But we'll get into what Jairek does in a minute, but you are in for a treat. As you know, Sam and I always like to bring you each week with our podcast that we do together, but also with these bonus interviews. We want to give you a different way of thinking. We want to bring you different strategies, different tools that you can bring into your life, into your business to help you grow both personally and professionally. So, Jairek, why don't you tell us just real quick a little bit about your business and especially your podcast and the video, the vlog that you do. I'd love to hear more about that.
Cool. We have all kinds of stuff going on. So first off, anyone taking time to watch or listen, what's up? Nice to meet you. Thank you for giving us a moment of your life to chit chat together. Handful of things. I mean, we do a lot of stuff. We have a blog, a vlog, a podcast. We wrote a book a few years ago. We have a brand new high performance program that just came out. We do coach training because I have a handful of coaches where we train to go work with clients. I tend to overflow personally with clients, one-on-one coaching. So we tend to have other coaches we'll train and then kind of pass clients out as they come in and they need a great coach. We do corporate training, keynote training, and stuff like that. And the crux of and the main focus of what we do in that specific business, we do a handful of stuff, other stuff too. But in that business, it's high performance. How do you optimize usually a 35 to 45-year-old male entrepreneur who owns 1 to 5 companies, has 5 to 50 plus employees, and they're usually in a significant relationship. They usually have 0 to 3 kids. They're making about $500,000 or more net take-home income per year out of those businesses. And in that position, obviously they know what to do. Right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the damn position they're in. Like, they're doing good in life comparably. The challenge they face, though, is consistency. And how do you keep them consistent? Because there's certain weeks of their life, they crush it. The deals come through, their team's optimized, everything's working. They feel healthy, happy, fulfilled. They feel strong, everything's working. And then there's certain weeks of their life that feels like life took a giant turd on them, and they don't know what happened. They're just like mentally out of it. Physically, they're just hurting. Emotionally, their relationship just feels like anything they do, it's wrong. And they just don't know what the hell happened. And, after coaching people like this for the last 14 years, I figured out there's certain consistent trends and about 11 things we can measure and pay attention to. And when any of these 11 things go wrong, everything falls apart. And some of them are overly basic. Like the 3 I like to start with that most people screw up continuously, but it's interesting, are the 3, foundational elements. And I'll frame it correctly for people listening. If we were in a wartime scenario and you got captured by the enemy, what's the first 3 things they take away from you? Usually first,
freedom.
If they want to torture you, if they want to really mess with your head, if they want to jack you up and just melt you as a human being, whether they're trying to get information out of you, whether they're trying to just, royally mess you up in life, the 3 things they mess with. Number 1, like you said, freedom or lack of movement. They either handcuff you or tie you up or some shit, and they put you in a cell. Right. Luckily, knock on wood, I've never been there, and I hope I never have to. But they put you in a prison, a cell. They take away your movement. Why? I could only assume in all the war movies I've seen, they don't want you working out. They don't want you feeling strong and healthy and pumped up and your adrenaline's fired and you're ready to kick some ass. They don't want that. You're the enemy. They want you sitting on the ground, weak, feeble, not at your best, torn up, beat up, and just sitting there. Mm-hmm. Say, okay, that's 1. What's the second thing they do if they really want to screw with you? They really want to mess you up? They don't feed you anything. Yeah. and you look at these old movies and they give you a bowl of slop and with one pea in it and a piece of bread and they say, good luck. It's like, why? Why don't they have superfood goji berry protein shakes down the hall that you can stay at your prime mentally and emotionally? Like, no, they don't give you that kind of shit. They give you this horrible slop and say, good luck, hope you survive. Now, obviously, I hope the God is not that bad, but to an extreme extent, they take away your food. They take away your high-dense nutrition. They take away your ability to fuel your body to be at your best. They take away your ability to move your body to be at your best. And there's one final thing they take away if they really want to jack you up mentally. Sleep.
Sleep. Oh, yes.
Because if they put you in a room and they want to torture you psychologically, they put loud music on, bright lights on, warm heat on, and they keep throwing buckets of water on you every so many hours to make sure you can't sleep. Now, again, I hope no one has to live through something like this, but what's wild as an entrepreneur, what are the first three things you screw up?
Nailed it. Yep.
Those are the first three things entrepreneurs screw up in their own lives and business because they get so busy doing shit that all of a sudden their sleep goes to crap. They wake up, they're so busy that even if the food's sitting right next to them, they go, in a minute, I'll eat in a minute, I'll eat in a minute. Imagine you went out and bought one of those, $50 million Gulfstream jets because you're a baller. And it's like, hey, you made it. You built the next Facebook and you've got $1 bazillion and you bought yourself the fancy long-range Gulfstream. You're like, yeah. And then you got one of those things. Imagine the pilot saying, hey, Mr. Middleton, here's the thing. We only have about a half tank of fuel right now, but I say we fly all the way across the country. And then once we land, then we'll fill up. What do you think? And the fuel we have will only take us to Denver, but we're going to coast all the way to San Francisco and then we'll fill up. Are we cool with that?
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Like a human brain would go, no, that's a really dumb idea. I'm not going to try to fly a half tank of gas across the country in a $50 million jet because I'm going to die in the fucking Rocky Mountains because I ran out of gas. But our bodies, it's like, oh, I've only put enough fuel to last me till noon, but I'm going to try to go to 6 p.m. tonight without anything else. Let's see what happens.
So why do you think that happens? Why do you think entrepreneurs get so caught up in the busy or the momentum or the achievement, whatever that is on one side of their life, and just let these things go? Because logically, we know that. We know you should eat right, sleep right, and exercise. But why and how can we avoid falling into that trap?
Sure. So far, all the people I've met, no one avoids it. It happens.
Okay. That's good.
We're talking about reality.
Right.
Like we could try to be like, do your best, work out every day and eat healthy. And like, you'll do great.
Right.
And if you're really busy, if you've got one, if you've got one company, it could do it. If you got 5 companies, I guarantee you're screwing this stuff up. Guarantee it. I haven't met a person who has that many companies who hasn't screwed this up. And the only reason is, we're so busy trying to put out the fires, trying to handle the situations, trying to manage the people, trying to do, all the operations every day. And even if you've elevated and you're the owner, I still meet people who own 5 companies who have CEOs in each company who are still struggling with this stuff. And if you look at the best of the best of the best, my friend, he I won't use their name just for privacy reasons, but for a well-known billionaire up in the tech industry, he's hired a full-time physician, who's my friend, who does optimizes him every single day, 365 days a year. It's been on staff for the last 3 years. And this is the stuff he optimizes them for. He makes sure they have a chef on staff that can get them the food at the right time and exactly the right food based on his gut, bacteria, based on his biological preferences of what that person needs to eat to stay at their best, because all of us have either allergies or different things that our body breaks down in certain ways. And if you put the right fuel at the right time, your body feels amazing. You put the wrong fuel at the wrong time, or just the wrong time or the wrong fuel, you have inflammation. You take a nap, you're out of the game, you feel exhausted, mental fog, like all this shit that pops up. And so really, truly, he fine-tunes and optimizes the whole plan to that specific human to make sure that person's at their best. And so, you don't have to fall into these traps if you have accountability. And accountability can be personal accountability. Like you have the plan, you know what you're going to do, which is step 1. That helps you hold yourself accountable if you know what you're going to do. But then not only having the plan, really, truly, whether it's, your friend, your coworker, your family member, your child, your assistant, your team member, a coach, like whatever, you have somebody that makes sure you actually do it. And it's not only that they make sure they do it, they help you learn how to self-assess so that if you get off track, I have a rule with all the clients I work with. It's normal to have a bad day. Yes. I haven't met a human yet that doesn't not have bad days. Like everyone has a bad day every now and then. What's not normal is to have multiple bad days in a row. Yeah. That's a choice.
I've heard entrepreneurs can afford a bad day, but they can't afford a bad week.
Exactly.
I was like, whoa.
And so that concept, who's helping you measure and track your stuff so that if you fall off one day, they start poking you and they help you get right back on the right path the next day. That's the goal. That's the person you need. Yeah. And again, it could be your kid. Like you could come home and be like, how was your day, honey? How was your day? Well, my day was this. And they go, okay, well, dad, well, how can you do better? And you go, okay, it's this. Boom, like they helped. But it's some system, some person, some situation, some strategy you have where you can start to self-assess. And these are just the basics. Mm-hmm. Like if you can get this stuff right, and if you're well slept, meaning, and it's not just quantity of sleep, it's quality of sleep. This is a game changer. And I'll show you the difference. Let me pull up my sleep tracking real quick. And I track this from my, yeah, last night was awesome, but let me pick a night that wasn't. No, that was a great night. I'm trying to find, so an example, if I can find one, is, and we've been doing pretty good recently, but there's sometimes, here you go. So this night, technically, I had 7 hours and 14 minutes of sleep, which is almost optimal. Like 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep is the optimum number for most people that you need. So I had 7 hours and 14 minutes of sleep, but here's the challenge. Out of that 7 hours and 14 minutes, 44 minutes of it was awake. So I just lost my whole optimization. Now, I did get amazing REM sleep, which REM sleep is the place where your brain detoxes. So that's amazing. Like your body has the lymph system that helps it detox. Your brain has a different system that when you're in REM sleep specifically, it detoxes the junk out of your brain and helps your brain kind of stay clean and healthy. But if you look at my deep sleep where some other magic happens, I was screwed because I had that 7 hours, but I only had 49 minutes of deep sleep. That was horrible.
And that's the REM sleep?
No, that's deep sleep.
Okay.
And then I had 5 hours of light sleep, which isn't like it's not as useful as the other kind of sleep. Mm-hmm. Versus if we go to last night I slept like a fucking king. And excuse any of the cussing for anyone. I just get excited over this stuff. But if you look closely, 7 hours and 48 minutes of sleep, which you slept like a boss, hour and 22 minutes of REM sleep, and an hour and 37 minutes of deep sleep. Crushed it last night. And so here's what's wild. When you're measuring something like that, it's not just quantity. Because you can have 9 hours of sleep and still wake up feeling exhausted and foggy and just like, I don't know what happened. Versus you can have like 6 hours of sleep and wake up feeling like $1 million. Yeah, and the difference is how well you optimized it.
Yeah, I'm on the 5-6 hours of sleep. I was going crazy for a while, just like 3 to 5 hours of sleep for probably like 3 years straight. Mm-hmm. Kids were young, two young ones back to back. Yep. Those earlier years, it's harder to get the sleep.
Here's what's wild. They did a research study where, and my friend Sean talks about this in a new program we just created with him, where they did a research study where they were having patients try to lose weight. They put them on the same diet, the same exercise routine, the same situation. The only difference was one group slept like, let's say 5 hours a night. The other one slept 7.5 hours a night. 33% more weight loss because they got great sleep.
Wow.
Only difference was sleep.
Time to repair.
Exactly.
Repair everything. And yeah. So what was that app that you're using? I have
that's a Fitbit. Really simple.
Oh, Fitbit just does it. Okay.
Yeah. It's an Ulta HR Fitbit. I like it because it's skinny enough that you can sleep with it. All the other big ones, for some reason, personal preference, I can't sleep with them. Like if it's like a watch on my wrist, it gets annoying. But this little skinny tiny one in here, it's awesome. It does your heart rate, tells you heart rate variability all day long and when you're in which zones and working out. but it tracks your sleep pretty well. And it's not perfect, but it gives you an understanding of the quality of your sleep every night, which is so important.
Yeah.
Then you got to, take it a step deeper. Obviously, nutrition and exercise. A good friend of mine, Brent Greenfield, was saying some of the most recent research is showing you don't need those hour and a half long workouts to be at your best. And this dude is a gold medal triathlete who competes in like Ironman and stuff like that. And I was talking to him, and he says, no, a lot of research is showing perpetual motion is the game changer. What that means is getting in those like 250 steps every hour. And I was like, well, you work like I do. You work at a desk, at an office. He's like, how do you get that in? He goes, it's easy. You put a pull-up bar in the door, you put a heavy weight on the floor, and every time you walk past the weight, pick it up twice. Every time you go on the pull-up bar, do a couple pull-ups. Every time, you come back in, do a lunge or two. Every time, do a couple squats. And he's like, the perpetual motion all day long keeps your body healthier in the long run for longevity. Mm-hmm. Now, performance-wise, it's really interesting because you can mix in like a Tabata. You can mix in, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to lose fat, you can start doing intermittent warm and cold showers to activate the fat sequence in your body. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. And to optimize like what you fuel yourself with and then how you use your body to keep it at its best. Okay. And then, so sleep, nutrition, and then the exercise part, again, perpetual motion. And with nutrition, there's so many different ways to go about it. But I asked Ben recently to sit down, same guy, and say, hey, for maximum strength, endurance, and flexibility, what would you recommend us to do? And so he wrote out a really cool outline for us on just what to eat, how to move, and what to do to try to optimize those three: strength, endurance, and longevity. Awesome. And my 2 cents, even for moms who might be tuning in, you're an endurance athlete if you didn't know what you signed up for. Because when your child wakes up at 6 a.m. and randomly gets up intermittently throughout the day and keeps you up all night and wants to run around in circles all day long, P.S., you signed up for an ultra marathon called Child.
That is so true.
So my thought is, are you fueling yourself for that ultra marathon? Are you training yourself for that ultra marathon? And are you showing up every single day to really stay in shape to be able to kick ass at the ultra marathon that is called raising a child?
Yeah. So that's great. The lack of movement, eating right, sleeping right. We got a couple of good takeaways there. That will all help you to be like high performance without burning yourself out.
Exactly.
Is it possible to be a high performer but still not necessarily? Another topic you
sure.
about, which I really appreciate, is talking about happiness and fulfillment. Like, can you be high performing, crushing it at business, crushing it in the gym, and then still be lacking in the fulfillment,
of course,
happiness realm?
Of course.
Why is that, and what can we do about that?
So those are 2 different categories. Like, people somehow think of high performance, high earning, high results as happiness and fulfilling, right. And they don't correlate. Yeah. Like, the more money you make does not randomly make you happier. The better you run and the more toned and your physique and the stronger you are, like, doesn't make you happier. Now, there's some side benefits, whether it's the endorphins kicking off from your workout, whether it's if you love the workout and you're doing something that you feel that you're good at. So doing something you're good at every day makes you feel more happy about yourself. There's some side effects that can correlate, but not necessarily. There's great research written. There's been over 275,000 people have been studied in over 200 studies, and they've proven scientifically what produces happiness in someone's life. They've proven it. It's not a fucking myth. You don't have to go to Tibet and sit in the mountains for 12 months to figure it out. Right. But like, it's scientifically proven. If you do these 7 things, you become happier as a human being. Period. Like, not special people. Right. They're pretty simple. Again, these are things we focus on for entrepreneurs because we sit down and say, listen, if you want to be happy, whole different category. Yeah. But if you want to be happy and more than happy, fulfilled. These are 2 different things. Fulfillment is finding meaning in what you do. The meaning doesn't randomly show up one day on a freaking tree stump and you're like, oh, I found it. Like, you don't find it, you create it. And so, I always tell a really simple story, and then I'll get to the happiness in the second piece, but I'll link them together for you. I always tell a simple story where I was living in a village over in Uganda, and I was teaching organic farming. And every morning I made it a point to wake up and watch the sunrise in rural farmland Uganda, because it was gorgeous. And every morning I wake up and I watched the most beautiful sunrise come up over the clay, and it was just like a pink reddish. It was so beautiful. Pineapple fields out there. And every morning, about 100 yards outside of my window, there was this little old man who'd wake up and he would sweep the leaves off this path out in front of a clinic. And it just like old, like probably 70, 80-year-old man, and he just cleared the path to the like front steps of the clinic. And he just seems so freaking happy doing it all the time. And I was like, what is it with this guy? Like every morning at sunrise, always so damn happy. Like I want to know what his secret is. So after about a month or 2 months or 3 months, I forget how long it was, probably 2.5 months, I went and asked him, like, why do you do what you do? Like what's your thought process? I was trying to get in his head. And someone interpreted for us. He didn't speak English. And she told me back, she's like, he said, because I'm supposed to. I was like, I don't think that's it. So, I made the grave mistake as an international traveler of asking louder. Why do you do what you do? And she just shook her head. She's like, I understood what you said, sir. Like, sorry. And so she asked him a different way. And all of a sudden he got the biggest smile on his face. And joy is an internationally known symbol. If you look at someone's face and you see them in joy, I don't care what language they speak, I don't care where they're from, I don't care what they do. When you see joy on someone's face, you know what it is. And I saw joy on this man's face. And I said, I don't know what it is, but that is what I'm looking for. Like, what is that to him? And he said one of the most beautiful things. He said, the reason I sweep the leaves every morning is I believe every human being, whether it's a small child about to enter this world or a sick or elderly person about to leave this world, they deserve a clear path to do so. I was like, damn, homie. Like this guy's got purpose in life.
Yeah. For something so simple.
All he does is sweep leaves. I'm like, dude, this guy's got like a purpose in life, and he just literally sweeps leaves every day. But in his mind up here, he clears a path for people to enter and exit Earth. It means something to him. So
someone else could be looking at that as their dead-end job and complaining about it, but literally doing the exact same thing.
Or even worse, someone else could be really successful and not have an ounce of meaning like him. I was talking to a guy who was a real estate investor, and this dude's done really well, upwards of like, let's say $100 million in assets. And he's invested it properly, has massive cash flow coming from them. And I sat down and talked with him, and I said, what do you do? And he's like, well, basically I rent apartments and buildings to companies and people and take money off of them. Like, wow. And is that fulfilling? Do you enjoy that? He's like, not really, but it makes me money. And I guess that's important. So I just keep doing it.
Wow.
Like, dude,
provides house for people.
The guy who lived in the broom closet who sweeps leaves has a hell of a lot more purpose than the guy who's wildly successful as an investor and an entrepreneur. And I was like, wow, it's not how successful they are. Because most people will call him not doing so well and him doing extraordinarily well. And then I went and sat with them and I helped them adjust the meaning. I said, like you said, what could it mean? Maybe you're providing a safe home to hundreds of families in this community. And he kind of thought about it. He's like, I guess I am, huh? And I was like, yeah, like maybe you're giving people a place to raise their families and build community. He's like, well, that's interesting. He's like, I never thought of it that way. And it seems like such a little tiny adjustment, but that adjustment is the difference between a man dying with regrets and a man dying with no regrets. Because he looks back at his life and instead of saying, all I did was freaking take money off people, he looks back and goes, wow, I provided a community with a safe place to raise families and community. How beautiful.
That's huge.
And it's one shift. And so for those of you listening or watching, what shift would you need to make in what you do every day? And some of you might already have it and you're very thrilled and fulfilled in what you do. Others of you who feel like you're working the wrong job or you hate what you do or you feel stuck and annoyed, you might look at it and come up with a new meaning about what it is you do every day. And all of a sudden the whole game changes. Doesn't mean you have to stay there. It just means while you're there, you get to enjoy the hell out of it. Now, the other side, which is happiness. These ones are scientifically proven about what you can do to literally get more happiness in your life every day. And there's a handful of them. I'll give you two to think about that are pretty simple. One, I'll give you three. I'll give you a bonus one. One, we already talked about, it's exercise. Exercise produces endorphins. Those endorphins raise someone's overall outlook and fulfillment in life. And not fulfillment, but happiness. You know, how you feel about your life. You feel more joy and happiness in working out and getting those endorphins to kick off. Another thing is doing something you're good at, which we talked about before. But if you feel that you're good at singing, dancing, listening, talking, walking, jumping rope, like, I don't care what you're good at, but whatever you feel you're good at, by expressing and participating in something you feel you're good at, it raises your satisfaction and happiness with life. The third,
is that connected to like your self-confident, like you just feel more confident about it? Okay.
It is. You feel better because you're doing something, you're expressing a personal strength, and the expression of a personal strength makes you feel more confident and more proud and more happy in who you are as a human, because you feel good at that. You feel like you're doing something that's important or good or meaningful or matters to you, and you're actually good at it, which makes you feel proud. The other piece that's really interesting is random acts of kindness. And this one's beautiful because it not only benefits you, it benefits the other person, and it benefits onlookers, anyone who observes. Because here's what's wild. When you go and deliver a random act of kindness, you get a shot of dopamine and serotonin, a little bit of oxytocin that fires off in your body. If you've noticed that nervous feeling where it's like, ooh, I'm going to go do this. And then it's like, and like you get the butterflies, your heart beats a couple times, you feel a little nervous, and then you go for it. That's all chemicals releasing in your body. And you get this little chemical cocktail that shoots off. Again, a little bit of dopamine, a little bit of serotonin, a little bit of oxytocin. Like, all this stuff shoots off and it feels good. That's why sometimes you feel yourself almost welling up with tears when you're doing something very kind and someone else receives it and goes, oh, thank you. And you're like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. And they're like, no, really, thank you. It's like, oh, you get the feels, because those feels are the chemicals popping off. The cool part is when they receive it, they also get the same chemical cocktail. And what's really wild on the research, it's kind of why people like watching those do-good videos on YouTube, because by watching it and observing, humankind be human and be kind. When you see humankind in motion, all of a sudden, you get the feels. Like, it kicks off the same cocktail in your nervous system, and you get the same induced experience. And so if you want to not only change yourself, help other people, and change the community around you, find random acts of kindness to deliver. And what that means is it has to be random. Because if it's premeditated and you're like, oh, I know what I'll do, I'll take this and go do that, it doesn't hit the same kick. Versus if you're like right now, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to spin in 3 circles, I'm going to open my eyes, and the first thing I see, I'm going to find something nice to go do for that person right now. I'm just going to go, not even think about it, not hesitate, just go. And I'm going to do it. That will bam, kick it off. And so practicing one of those a day will change your whole experience inside chemically. And so what we tend to look for in helping entrepreneurs and helping people optimize, not only what things like soft skills, things like writing your goal, having a vision in life, figuring out your daily habits and routines, all those are important, but we also look for hard things that can actually rewire your nervous system based on science. Meaning, if you're depressed, I'm going to have you work out. I'm going to have you go do random acts of kindness. I'm going to have you do these things. And what we're doing is inducing a different set of hormones and chemicals to be released in your body. So we're reworking chemistry, not just feel good ideas.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. We actually have a friend that lives down in St. Pete who so she's an ex-addict. And so we're 2 years and became like an expert and helps other addicts. And one of the steps that she puts out there is to literally just go, she says, make a stranger smile. Like something you have to do every single day. And she records these most ridiculous videos, but they are, like you said, they're like a joy to watch. You're like watching somebody like put encouragement into somebody, or just give them a sandwich or something so simple. And as much as she's doing it and giving to them, she's also showing you like, I need this as much as I need exercise, as much as I need oxygen. This is an important part in order for me to not go back to old ways. And I think that's interesting that it's actually chemical, like scientific, not just an idea. I never looked at it that way. It's powerful.
Those are the pieces we play with because we want to show people it's actually doing something, and it's not just a feel good
Right.
soft tool tactic. It's not like a positive thinking thing. It's like, hey, even when we look at mindfulness with people and we're like, oh, meditation can literally change your life. And they're like, yeah, I get it. No, now to the next thing. Show me something different.
Right.
And I go, wait a minute. When all hell's breaking loose, do you have the ability to completely clear your mind and focus on the one task at hand? Or do you get caught up in the craziness? And they're like, well, that would be useful. I'm like, wouldn't it? As an entrepreneur, you got 5 companies going on, 150 employees, a million things going on in a million directions. Your kids are screaming. Your wife needs you. Your husband needs you. All this stuff's going on. Can you clear your mind of all the thoughts and be focused on the one task at hand? I have a friend of mine, and he's a client and friend who used to train the snipers in the Navy SEALs. And so what's interesting, he says there's 2 things you got to teach these people how to do. Number 1, how to stay aware of all the chaos around them at all times. Why? You're a sniper laying on a roof, looking down a scope. Someone walks up behind you. If you're not aware of your space, you're dead. Vice versa. You're aware of the space. All the craziness going on. You're well aware about in front of you, behind you, around you, but you're not paying attention to the one task at hand you need to complete. Other people die. You got to be able to do both. You have to be able to stay laser focused on the task at hand while being completely aware, yet not distracted or disturbed by the chaos around you. How do you practice that? Most people are like, I don't know. Surely not going to go to sniper school. Most entrepreneurs. Sounds cool, but yeah, right. They don't have time for that. So we use stuff like Muse, the brain sensing headband, and we train people how to use biofeedback. Like, this is a session I did this morning, and here's the difference. Let me show you a not so great session. So this one kicked my butt. This is what happens. And calm is the bottom, neutral is the middle, and active is the top. This is what your brain waves look like if you're not able to really focus.
That looks like unfocused.
It's going like this.
Right.
Versus this morning, I had a great session, was able to stay focused, and here's what it looks like. Here's the difference.
Lower, more.
Yeah, on the bottom, complete calm, 92% calm. So that means for 20 minutes, I was able to sit down, clear my mind of all thoughts, and stay 100% focused on just my breath for 20 minutes.
What's cool about that you just did is you were talking about changing the meaning of something or changing your perspective. Yeah. You just took something that I've been guilty of just brushing over, like, oh, I know I need to meditate. I have the apps on my phone that'll just, talk for 5 minutes. I just hit a button and I'll be like, oh, I don't have time for it. Yep. It's just this thing. But you just showed me how that simple little thing, you just put a different meaning to why that is important by, just with this sniper example and stuff, that like just the meaning of something so seeming small can change. Now I'm probably going to run that app as soon as I get off of here, just because I see how much more important that is. That's right. Because if you can't stay aware of the chaos in your life, which it's going to be there anyways, try not paying attention to your kid for 24 hours. Not a good idea. You have to be aware at all times what's going on. Yet, if all you do is chase your kid around, you'll be out of business in 6 months, in a month, if you don't pay attention to your business, the task at hand. Yeah. And so it's a combination of the ability to do both without letting either drown you or kick your ass. And so, the way we practice it is that there's a new program I'm trying to get access to from a group of scientists over in Israel, where it's really neat. It's neurofeedback. So it's kind of a step up from this one. This one is just, it trains you. It's really cool. You put the little headset on, and when you're super calm, you get little birds that tell you you're calm as a reward. And then when your brain's active and going nuts, you hear thunderstorms and lightning bolts and crazy shit because your brain's a storm. Mm-hmm. And so the goal is to quiet the storm. And the better you're able to quiet the storm, the more control you have over chaos is going on everywhere, and you're able to go right down to present. Cool. That's what's cool. And it rewards you for it. I'm trying to get an active one. So instead of closing and trying to meditate to do it, you actively stay awake and you work with the game. And it's everything between, like, it's a little character that when you calm your brain, it runs and jumps and does shit. And the moment your brain gets activated, it just stops and sits down. So you're playing a video game with your brain. Or the newest one I'm trying to get access to, it's called the waiting room. And they use this to train, new research is coming out about it, but they use it to train people in the armed services who are going to go towards a place that might give them PTSD. Also people like police officers who have to get sent out to riots or crazy situations. And what they're trying to train these people how to do is you put the headset on, you put your headphones on,
and the room goes ape shit. Sirens, alarms, cussing, yelling, screaming, crying, just insane, glass breaking, like just shit going insane in every direction. And the only way to calm the room is to calm your mind.
Wow.
And so what they're training them is the louder and crazier life gets, the calmer you get and the more focused you get to handle shit. And they're trying to train people's nervous systems to go to that place. So when they do get put in a place of complete chaos, they go completely calm, completely focused, and just get shit done. And
people, I hope people are really getting this who are listening. The examples you're giving are these literal life and death examples. And I think a lot of us, myself included, in the earlier years, looked at things like they were optional. Like I'll work out like when I have time. I'll eat right when when it's convenient. They're like add-ons or optional. But the reality is there are people literally, like organizations and people probably spending tons and tons of time and money because this stuff is so important. It's life or death. It's being tested against, extreme situations because it is that important. And we really need to think more about, going to the gym isn't just so that you can have that beach body on the weekend, right? It's life or death. It's the difference between you being able to see your grandchildren graduate high school or not. Yeah. And the more I think we think of it that way and make it more extreme, like the more it will be less of the kind of would be nice to do's or I know I should do it. Like it's really is like life or death.
Yeah, it's mandatory.
Yeah, it is mandatory. Absolutely.
There's really two. I heard it said there's two lives we have. The first is when we get started, and the second is the day we realize we only have one. And when that clicks, all of a sudden someone steps up and has a whole new life.
Yeah.
And, my moment for that, I was living in Uganda teaching organic farming. I was there for 3 months, and on the halfway through the third month, I got malaria. And I got sat down by the doctor. I grew up in Southern California, where I'm at right now. And, we heal everything between vegetable juice and meditation here. So that's how we heal our bodies of all things, the hippie way. And it's worked most of my life. You get a flu or a cough or something, and you just drink greens and meditate and work out and you're fine. But malaria is a whole different animal. And I was over in Uganda, got malaria, and I was being stubborn. I wasn't taking the medicine, my own stuff. It's pretty silly, but I wasn't doing it. And it got to a point where my lungs started to shut down. And at 20 years old, I got told I had 6 days left to live if I didn't do something different right now. And that changes everything. Mm-hmm. Because it's that day you realize, oh shit, I only have one life. Like really, oh crap. And mine came at 20 years old when I'm sitting there thinking like someday I'll have a business and I'll have a family and I'll graduate from school and I'll travel the world and I'll have a kid and all these beautiful things I'm dreaming of. And all of a sudden one day someone sits down in front of you and goes, hey, you've only got 6 days left. And it's like, whoa, all the stuff I thought I would do, good chance ain't going to happen from where I'm sitting right now. And they're like, take the medicine. You might live. Don't, you probably won't. Like, whoa. So I took the medicine at the worst 10 days of my life. Vertigo. I mean, my body was profusely letting everything out in every direction. Like it's ugly and nasty. I'll save you the details, but it was gross. And it was horrible. Like I couldn't even see. I'd stand up, pass out, fall over, wake up on the ground, try to crawl down the hallway to go to the bathroom. Like couldn't make it. Like it was just bad. And really bad. I was at the hospital too. Like, and no one spoke English. They're doing their best to take care of me in a village clinic. And I'm hooked up to IVs and the whole spiel, just trying to survive. And I realized on the other side of Earth, I could not get back to my family even if I wanted to. Because if I tried to, they'd quarantine me, obviously in London. They wouldn't let me fly like that. And then all the stuff I ever wanted to experience in life, I was like, wow, it just might not happen. Like this sucks. And in that moment, a friend of mine came up with a few questions. He had a different experience, but similar with death at a young age. He was pouting over a girl and flipped the Jeep in South America. And he got, thrown over the back of a moped and driven for like 4 hours to a clinic. And he felt like he almost died there too when he was young. And he came up with this. He said, when you're faced with death at any stage, there's really 3 big questions. And it's, when life gave me the opportunity to live fully, did I really live?
Mm-hmm.
Did you grab life by the horns? Did you squeeze every damn ounce of every moment you could? Did you take the opportunities? Did you go for it? Did you take the risks? Did you try things? Did you really, really live fully? The second one is, did you really love? Did you open your heart and soul when people gave you a moment to pour love into them? And did you pour every ounce of what you had inside of you into them? Or did you hold back because of fear, because of uncertainties, because of unknowns? Did you love deeply to the fullest extent possible? And the third one, which is a big one, did you really matter?
Is the world any different because you were here?
Yeah. If you weren't here 10 days from now, would anyone even care?
Yeah.
Who would show up at your funeral? Did you leave some type of little mark in your community, in your family, in the world around you in a way that it matters? People will remember because you were here, that ripple started, and it will continue far beyond your physical being. And if you think of those three things, the concept becomes, I always tell people, like, you don't know if you're going to get run over by bus 127 this afternoon. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen. I've always used that silly example. And then a friend of mine got run over by a bus a few months ago in Toronto. She got off the trolley, looked the wrong way, and an airport bus literally ran her over. And she has a picture of her under the bus with her little legs sticking out like the Wicked Witch in the movie.
Was it
Yeah, it's like her little legs are sticking out from the bus.
Wow.
And she survived. She still has a few surgeries to go to get back to normal. But you don't know if that bus is going to take you out. And it could happen to anyone. Not hope to God it doesn't, but it can. And so the concept is, how do you set up every day of your life to really live fully, to love deeply and to really matter? And how do you design hour by hour what your daily simple life is going to be? Doesn't have to be complex. It can be totally simple or really complex, whatever you want it to be. But how do you set it up so that every single day you can check off those three boxes? And if you got taken out today, you'd die with a smile on your face being like, dude, I did it. I lived. I fucking lived it.
Yeah.
And that concept. And for most people, it's not that crazy of a day. It's just taking time to actually put it on paper and outline it, and then taking time to figure out how to go live it and make it reality.
Awesome. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. You've given us some good stuff to take away. And I just have a couple of fun questions for you. You've had the opportunity to do some really amazing interviews. Some of my favorites have been, we're talking about high performance here, so I feel like this is fitting. E.T., hip hop preacher, Marie Forleo, another one of my favorites. Yeah. And Elliot, who's also on here in Florida, Elliot Hulse, strength camp. What patterns have you noticed? We're talking about high performance. We're talking about, have you noticed any, or not necessarily maybe a pattern, or just like, what have you noticed, or what's a memorable takeaway where, you've been a student of this for years, you've grown up with this, you've studied it like crazy, and then now interviewing other high performers in their different niches. Have you taken one big lesson from any of them, or noticed any other patterns outside of what we already discussed?
Sure. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff we discussed.
Okay.
They all do these things in different ways, and they all have their own little system of how they go about doing these things. The one thing that I would say that exists in all of them is that at least those three that you're talking about, whether it's Marie or E.T., the hip hop preacher, or Elliot, they all have a passion to make a difference. And the concept of did I matter drives them. And if you talk to them, what the shows they produce, the content they create, it's really about just trying to reach people. For most of them, money's not a big deal at this point because they've gone through that phase and they figured out how to perform and build something that really truly made them a ton of cash. So now they're in a position where it's like, hey, how do I make a difference? If money is no longer the thing I have to chase every day, how do I chase impact? How do I chase producing something that's going to reach someone? And it exists in all of them. And it's neat to hang out with people like that because they're always creating, and they're still interested in money. They're still interested in growing their business side of their business. But what leads is usually heart. And it's usually, how can we reach more people? How can we make this difference? How can we get more people to do these kind of things? Especially with someone like Elliot. It's neat. He's trying to help people become the strongest version of themselves, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. We have a very similar mission in that concept. My goal, help people become the happiest, healthiest, strongest, and most fulfilled version of themselves. And so if we can interweave those things, it's like, wow, we're speaking the same language, man. And he does it through fitness and mental and exercise and stuff. And we do it through performance training for entrepreneurs. So we have different groups of people we work with, but very similar. Marie, she loves helping people expand their businesses. And she gets her kicks off of getting these emails where people are like, oh, I had this little, startup idea, and all of a sudden now I'm making $1 million a year. Thank you so much for showing me how. And she's like, hey, I just gave that family an income that they're not only able to take care of themselves, they're able to take care of their community now, just because I taught them some stuff that I learned a long time ago and it's worked for me. It's like, how cool. And E.T., this man just is a game changer for young people. Right. And the dude, I was watching his Instagram stories the other day. He's up at like 6 a.m, standing in high school hallways, holding signs that says "E.T. loves you, welcome back." As
Which
kids are coming to school.
Other side of the country, on top of it.
Yeah,
right.
And you're watching this grown-ass man who's done very well in his life, who's built this organization, who's done all this stuff. And why the hell is he waking up early? He wakes up early anyways, but why is he waking up early to go to someone else's high school to hold that sign that says "E.T. loves you" and to high five all the kids and say, "Good job, welcome back, good in here"? Why? Because there's a problem with young kids not going to school. Mm-hmm. And so he's willing to show up and be a community member that says, hey, let's inspire these kids. Let's get them to come to school. Let's get them to work hard at their grades. Let's get them to learn stuff instead of leaving them on the streets and just letting them turn into whatever they lead to. And it's like, wow. So these people are literally, they're change makers. They're people in communities doing stuff online, offline to really make a difference. And it's a thread that exists in and they do it in their own way. Through its online marketing or through strength and fitness and health, or it's showing up in community and inspiring them to keep going.
Do you think making a difference has a quantifiable number? Like there's the ETs of the world who are inspiring millions, right? You yourself with your vlog and everything, speaking all over, like you see tons of people. Does everybody have to make an impact at that level in order to have that fulfillment?
I'll speak to this real quick because I think it's important. We've started to hang out in San Francisco a lot and other parts of the world where it's, they call it the Rome of this century. Like it's the place where all the stuff is happening. It's like, cool, good to be a part of it. Like fun to visit. And P.S. your apartments are expensive as shit. But great people, and really, truly, all the inspiration up there is how will you change 1 billion lives? And so they're pushing people to expand their mind to try to help as many people as possible. And I think it's beautiful to be chasing that dream. And my 2 cents, you want to change 1 billion lives? Help one person a day. That's it. Because you can spend your whole life chasing some dream that someday, if it ever comes to fruition and finally works out, will help 1 billion people. Yeah. Or every damn day you could wake up and find one person to go smile, help make smile. One person to be seen, one person to feel heard, one person to feel understood, one person to feel loved. And if every single day you get to them and you pour enough love into them, hopefully you'll pour so much it'll spark something in them, and the next day they'll find a way to go do it for another. And I don't know any faster way to reach 1 billion people than to have a little ripple start, and each day it multiplies out a couple more people every day, and it just goes. And obviously I hope the tech people in San Francisco, and I hope they do reach billions with all the cool stuff they're creating. It's really amazing. And for everyone else, for myself included, my goal in our company is really simple. We want to reach one person a day. And the goal specifically is find the person that needs us most and reach them with the exact message they need in the exact moment they needed us the most. I don't know what the message is. I don't know who it is. And I don't know where we will find them. And every day we're on a mission to get to that person. And so us reaching a lot of people, we don't pay attention to that. We pay attention to, can we get to the one person every day? And it could be on the boardwalk in front of my house. It could be online. It could be one of you amazing people watching or listening to this. I don't know where you are and I don't know who you are, but every day I'll find you.
Nice. Love it. And one last question, just to bring this back to, the marriage side of what we do. Do you work with your wife?
Yeah.
Awesome. So do you have any tips do you guys work together in different departments? Do you work together on the same projects? How does that dynamic work? Because people tell us that we're crazy all the time, like they couldn't work with their significant other. So I'd like to get that question answered by as many other entrepreneurial couples as well to just help give different perspectives and prove that it does exist?
Sure. So it's very different for men and women of how to talk about this. For the guys, it's learning how to optimize your relationship. And there's certain things you can do, one of which is inconsistent things that can help keep your relationship really alive while working together.
Like spontaneous stuff.
So I'll give you an example. I was talking with a friend last night and she was like, oh, I told my boyfriend that I'm dating, I really love it, waking up each day to like great messages. So every single day for the last couple of years since they met, he texts her at 6:45 in the morning with a hand-picked song that represents what's gone on in their lives together over the last 24 hours. I'm like, dude, this guy's fucking trying.
That's good. No kidding.
But watch this. She said, I kind of feel like it's hit a point where it's just obligatory and he feels like he's obligated to do it. So it doesn't feel romantic anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's fucking disastrous.
Yeah.
Because in his mind, he's still winning, and in her mind, they're losing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the very first tip I throw out there for any couples who work together, find a way to rate what's going on and check in consistently. How are we doing? The worst case scenario is you think you're doing good, and in her mind or his mind, you're fucking failing.
Yeah.
And so, one person's like, this is the greatest sex we've ever had. And the other person's like, I've had better. Like, no offense. You think you're winning and you're not.
Right.
Now that's for men. That's a conversation where guys are like, oh shit, I think I'm doing good. Go ask. Yeah. Us guys tend to assume shit instead of ask. Mm-hmm. And you got to be able to do it humbly without taking offense. If you're like, I think we're like a 9, and she goes, I think we're a 3. You can't be like, oh, gutted the rest of your life. Like, you have to be able to go, oh, okay. What would make it an 8 or 9? Tell me your experience. Ask her 3 days later. Does it still feel the same way? Because a lot of it's based on feelings. Not always, but a lot of it. Her feelings might change 2 days later, and she's like, oh, now we're a 9. You're like, what changed? You're like, nothing. You're like, me, I don't understand. So sometimes it works that way. You got to ask.
Yeah.
Simplest, my wife and I have a scale, and it's called How Loud Is Your Happy? That's it.
I like it.
So I ask her, how loud is your happy? And if she goes, oh my gosh, my happy is so loud. It's amazing. I'm so happy right now. Life is incredible. We're doing good. If I say, how loud is your happy? And she goes, oh, it's good. That's not good. I'm like, oh shit. Everything in the world fucking stop. I must go to my wife. Something is fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Now she'll never say something's wrong, but if she hesitates telling me her happy is loud, something's fucking wrong. And I need to go hunt it down and find it. Yeah. And not fix it, but understand it. And so there's layers in this. And for men, understanding that concept will change your whole relationship and change your life. And what you're looking for is, how do you understand your spouse better? For women, this is an interesting one. Simplest thing is men really, women seek to be understood. Men seek for respect and appreciation. And so there's a research done by the Gottman Institute, which studied 3,000 couples for 30 years to figure out the difference between the masters and disasters of relationship. And they scientifically figured it out. These are the 7 things that the masters do and the disasters don't, period. And so one of the things they figured out, there's 7 of them. You can just Google Gottman house and a little image will come up and show you all 7. These are daily habits and practices to have with each other as a couple. And even for couples who don't work together, like, these things are the difference makers in relationship. And so with these 7 things, one of them for a man is appreciation for what he does. And, something I've grown up hearing, which is, and excuse my language, I apologize in advance, but there's truth in this statement, which is, there's nothing worse than a miserable fucking rich woman. And it might sound offensive, but the truth is, the analogy is someone who has everything and is still not happy.
Right.
Because as a man, that's cancer in a relationship. Meaning, if you try to give your spouse everything, you give them your love, your attention, your appreciation, your presence, you care for them, you listen to them, you honor them, you protect them, you do everything you can for them, and still she's not happy every day, it feels like death inside.
Yeah. And
so the crazy part is, women will be like, what? I'm supposed to be fucking happy 24/7? No. But if you train your brain, like turn the dial to appreciation, and then break the dial and don't let it go anywhere else. And you appreciate everything. Really simple. Like, he takes out the trash. Babe, I so appreciate when you take time to do that. Mm-hmm. He takes a dish to the sink and cleans it after eating food. Babe, I really appreciate when you take time to help me clean, or when you clean for us. You know, he makes the bed in the morning. Babe, I love it when, you know, thank you so much for taking time to do that. He fucking does normal shit, like helps with the kid like he's supposed to. And you go, babe, I'm so grateful you take time to help me with the little one. Just turn it on fucking autopilot and break the damn switch and leave it alone forever. And just constantly say thank you for all the little shit. And what'll happen is it'll make him feel like $1 million. Mm-hmm. And the problem is,
and do more of the good stuff.
Exactly. And women and men train each other differently. If you're a woman and you're with a group of women and you want to get her to stop wearing an outfit, all you have to do is look at it and go, oh my God, you're going to wear that with those? She'll never wear that shit around you again, and you know it. Now, men are different. If you walked in with that shirt and I'm like, oh, fuck, you wore that shirt? You'd be like, fuck you. And every time we see each other, you'd put the same fucking shirt on and be like the shirt, fucker? And I'd be like, yeah, still sucks. And we'd be like, yeah, high five. Like, guys are different. Right. But women try to train men like they do other women. So he doesn't take out the trash, and she goes, babe, you didn't take out the trash again. That makes him go, fuck you, you take it out, and want to do nothing. That's what he's thinking. Not those words. I'm sure he's much more respectful, but that's what he feels like.
Right.
Versus if you go, babe, you're my hero when you take the trash out. I guarantee that dude will fucking scrape the house for any trash he could take out. He'd be like, hero, fuck me. Where's the trash? I think there's a trash right here. You need that out? You need that out? You need that out? I got it right here. Fucking hero. I taught this to a friend, and then I got a text from her husband a day later. He's like, fuck you, bro. I'm like, what? He's like, my wife rolled over this morning at 4:30 in the morning and said, babe, you'd be my hero if you drove to the airport and picked up my sister for me. I'm driving to the fucking airport at 4 a.m. and I feel like a fucking hero. Fuck you. And I started laughing.
That's hilarious.
I was like, that is a secret sauce word. Now, P.S., if you use this in a manipulative way, it will not have the same power.
Right.
But if you genuinely look a man in the eyes, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you'd be two gay guys if you wanted to be, but like, if you look a masculine man in his eyes and say, babe, you'd be my hero if you do X, and it's genuine, you will see a dude perform at peak levels.
Yeah, that's so true. Sam will manipulate me sometimes, and it works. She'll be like, I love it. You always do this. And I'll be like, oh, actually, like with the laundry, you're always helping out with the laundry. And I'll be like, I've actually kind of slacked the last 2 weeks, but I'll just go and do the laundry. You know what I mean? Like, I want to help out because I know that if I'm not consistent with something and she reminds me of it, I almost feel obligated. Like, yeah that's right. I do always do that.
There's one other tip here for men specifically to go back. So for men and women, different tips and different conversations, because women do not want to optimize a fucking relationship.
Right.
Men do. Men go, oh, okay. Women are like, ugh. Like, they want to have experience a great relationship. So it's different conversations. But to go back for men real quick, specifically 35, 45-year-old men who their whole life is like work, breathe, work, breathe. And that's where your life is at. We celebrate each other on how big our business is, how much revenue we generate, how much profit we make, the difference we make in the world. And, those are all big things that we celebrate and think of as these huge things. If you took as much time to celebrate ironing your wife's clothes, doing her laundry for her, taking time to wash the dishes and clean up the kitchen for her, or clean up her office if she's working. Like, if you take time to treat those as the big things, you will have a relationship like none other. Because in the long run, taking time to do the little things every day for her will bring y'all closer together than you could ever imagine. And so if you're looking for a way to win and you both work together, find a way to step in and do all the little things as often as you can for her without expecting anything. Do not expect reward. Do not expect a thank you. Do not expect shit back. Just do it. And what will happen is she'll notice. They always do. And if you train yourself to do those little things, you'll have a relationship like no one else around you.
And two of the things that, to bring it back to why we work together, the communication a lot of the time, being able to communicate often and a lot, and having opportunities to do a lot of those little things. we were in two separate careers and two separate like literally in two separate offices, and only came together for a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours at night, it immediately makes it hard to have that, you know, because relationships take work. So I feel like being able to work together, we get way more opportunities to kind of have those little conversations and have it be more natural instead of, oh, I'm home at 7. We should communicate. Everyone's tired. And you know what I mean? I feel like that, or only on the weekends if you have the weekends on.
The other reason people call you crazy is there's 4 different reasons why people get into relationships in the first place. And it sounds like you guys have a companionship model, meaning you want to be able to do everything together.
Yeah.
The 3 other reasons really simple. Some people get together because it's called karma model or growth, meaning they choose that partner because that partner makes them grow and or they make the other person grow. Mm-hmm. So it's not about doing stuff together. It's about growing. And the moment they stop growing, they start looking somewhere else to find someone else that will make them grow more. It's just a reason why they're there. Some people, it's legacy. Like if you think of old school kingdoms, like my daughter will marry your son so that we can prolong the legacy of our kingdom. People still get married for that shit.
Yeah.
And it's different things. It's not 2 kingdoms, you know, having children together, shit like that. Now it's like, oh, you know, if we marry each other, our business will go farther. If we do this, then that will prolong. And so people do that. They have nothing in common. They don't like doing the same shit. They have different friends. They have different interests. They have different hobbies, but they will marry someone because there's a legacy involved of some sort.
I feel like that happens in Hollywood.
Happens everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, go to Houston and look at the oil companies. Like there's legacy relationships. Like you meet people and you're like, these people have nothing in common. Like they don't even like each other. She talks and he's like, she talks and he's like, like they don't even get along, but somehow they're married. Like what the hell happened? And it's a legacy move. And it's not about money. It could be about, you know, they wanted to have children and that's their legacy. And so the goal is like, we will have kids and our kids will be our legacy and we don't even like each other, but our kids will be great. Like there's people who do that and that's normal. And that's the reason why they do a relationship. So there's legacy, there's karma, and then the companionship. And then I'm trying to remember what the 4th one was. I don't remember what it was. If you want to look it up, Google a lady named Alison Armstrong.
Okay.
And type in, you know, companion legacy Alison Armstrong, and it'll pop up and show you the 4th one.
Awesome.
And it's interesting because for people who think you're crazy, more often than not, they're not a companionship model, and therefore they could never imagine being around someone 24/7 like that because that's not how they do life. That's not their way. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. But if you are a companionship model, which my wife and I are, and you guys are, it's the most amazing thing in the world to be able to work with your partner every day because you get to spend life with them. The other thing that happens if you look at stages of life for men, 35, you know, roughly 30 to 55-year-old men, their whole life is work. Number one, biggest main priority. Not all of them, but most of them. Mm-hmm. And therefore, if you do not work with your partner at that stage of life, you will not see your partner very often.
Right.
You will see them in the morning and at night. That's about it because they're working all day long. Mm-hmm. And you know, if they weren't working and you tried to get them to sit with you, they would feel compelled to go work because that's what their nervous system is geared towards at that stage of their life. And so therefore, you know, if you're going to get into a long-term relationship with someone in 30 to 55-year-old range and they are an entrepreneur, you're going to want to make that decision. And if you want to be around them, you're going to have to find a way to work together in some capacity or work on things together in some capacity.
Awesome. Well, Jairek, I've been taking notes the whole time. I'm going to watch this back a couple of times because it's been extremely valuable to me. I hope that our listeners have gotten as much out of it as I have, but I want to be respectful of your time. But before we go, tell us how people can learn more about you, what you've got going on, whether it's the YouTube channel or the courses. How can they learn more about you?
Sure. So if you go to JarekRobbins.com, you'll find everything we have from a book to the new course we have to our coach training and, you know, hire a coach yourself if you need one. That concept, we have the whole range there. JRCTV.com will take you to our YouTube channel. Our blog is on JarekRobbins.com. And I'll do something special. For anyone looking to optimize themselves in high performance, we have a brand new Udemy program that we did a partnership with them.
Oh, nice.
Focused on all the topics we talked about.
Awesome.
Designing your ideal vision for your life, optimizing your sleep, optimizing your nutrition, optimizing your exercise, optimizing your mindfulness, your state management. We have Wim Hof, who's a guest expert, Ben Greenfield, Sean Stevenson on sleep. And then it also talks about happiness, fulfillment, and building a powerful peer group, which is the number one factor Harvard found for longevity. Someone who can build and cultivate a powerful long-term peer group is people who live the longest. Wow. So how to do that, and then how to wrap it into a morning and evening routine, really simple every day. If you want, I'll send you a link, and it's a $200 course, but we'll discount it for anyone from here. I'll give you 100 codes for like $47. Thanks. So if anyone wants it, they can go grab it.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes and in the comments if you're watching the video version of this.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jairek. Hopefully we can get together when your guys are back in Tampa, grab a workout or a lunch or something. But I really appreciate the time, and have a great day, man.
Of course, man. You too. And thank you, everyone, for taking time to listen in.
Yeah, thank you.